Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this card making tutorial number 598. We're heading to the big 600. Woohoo! So today's card, before we get to the one that's 600, we're going to make a gorgeous card. We're going to use lots of our Anna Griffin items, both old and newer, and we're going to make not a non-floral card, but something that could be quite easily changed into more of a masculine card, I think. So I'm going to run through the dies, embossing folders and the stamps. Everything I do use I shall list on my blog anyway, but I want to show you the items. The first item is an older item. It's an embossing folder and it's from the collector's edition from Anna Griffin and it's called Thistle Bouquet. If you don't have this folder, maybe you've got some of Anna's newer embossing folders, you can quite easily substitute it and use something else because it's just going to give a little bit of extra texture to the card. It's not a main focal point, but it's just there in the background and I think it just adds an extra dimension to the card. We're going to be using the Anna Griffin Sentiment Stamp and Die set, but in particular I'm going to be using the Just For You stamp. Now again, you could easily substitute this. Maybe you don't have this set and you've got the Treasury collection or you've got other collections from Anna. You can quite easily use something else because this is just for the insert. So it's a message that you can put to the occasion that you're going to make your card for. Don't be frightened to mix and match because everything will work together. So that's the stamp that we're going to use. Now we're also going to use the decorative edge dies from Anna. These are the original ones and we're using this one particularly. We're using both the shadow layer and the ornate layer. Don't worry about the craft tape on mine, it's just to hold them all together so that I know what's on what magnetic shape basically. So that's what we're going to use for the decorative edge dies. And then we're going to use the ruffle cut and emboss dies. We're going to use the smaller ruffle die and the shadow layer, so both the ornate and the shadow layer. We're going to start with our base card, and this is a 6x6 inch ivory square card. I've already gone ahead and used my handmade stamp on the back, added my name, and that's so the recipient will know who's made it for them. Now I'm going to use a bone folder from the Anna Griffin bone tool collection, and I'm simply going to make sure that's a nice sharp edge along the side, and I just think it makes it look more professional and it just gives it a good finish. So now we can start with our card. As always, we're going to start with our insert, and this is a quick and easy idea for an insert, I think. I've taken a piece of ivory cardstock and I've inked just around 3 edges, not around this one because this was going to be covered, so it would be a waste of ink to do them all. But I've just inked around 3 edges and I've used one lipstick just to give it a touch of colour. And you could use anything you have in your stash. You might be lucky enough to have some Anna Griffin ink pads. They would work and tone in gorgeously. I've got flat tape on the back. So I've cut this square to 5.8 inches by 5.8 inches. And then that way it gives a good border around the edge of the inside of our card, like so. So you can see where I've inked it, just around 3 edges. We're going to be working with the Paisley collection from Anna, the Paisley cardstock. So I've taken a piece of the Paisley cardstock and I've cut it just to 6 inches. Now I've got to admit it is a scrap, so the measurement for the actual width of it is 2 inches wide. And I'm going to butt it up to the fold of the card, like so. Just take it to the edge and then press it down. I've then also got a piece of pink plain metallic cardstock. Again, this is waste from what we're using for the front of the card, and I just didn't want to throw anything away, and I thought it will just work nicely for the insert. This measures 1.5 inches and again 6 inches long. So, but don't get strung up on the widths and the sizes, because they are scraps and they're going to just work together. So this has flat tape on the back as well, and I'm just going to place that over the top of the previous layer, again to the edge of the fold inside the card, like that. Press it down. So we've got kind of like a border effect to one side. Now I've used the shadow layer of the ruffle cut and embossed die, the inner smaller section, and I've die cut the shadow layer in the paisley cardstock. I've got flat tape on the back, and I'm just going to position the actual layer over the top of both of the pieces of cardstock that we've just added, so it kind of looks like it's all in one. And then I've die cut the ornate layer of the smaller ruffle and cut die in the pink metallic cardstock, and this is where I've used the sentiment stamp, and it just says "just for you." So I've just stamped it in the middle. I've got flat tape on the back, and I'm just going to position that over the top of our shadow layer, and then I can press it down, and that is our insert complete. We've got lots of room for our message. It looks really pretty, and it's going to match the outside of our card perfectly. So now we can create the outside. Now this is why I always use the bone folder again, because where I've put it up to the edge, I want to make sure I've still got that nice sharp score along the edge. So I use my bone folder again, and now we can go for our first layer on the front of our card, which is a square of paisley cardstock. I've cut it down to 5.8 by 5.8 inches so that it will sit nicely on the front of my card. I've got double-sided tape on the back of it, and I'm simply going to position it through the centre of the card. There we go, and press it down. So it gives a nice border around the edge. Next, I've embossed using our embossing folder, and I've embossed the pink metallic cardstock from Anna. I've cut a square of cardstock, and this measures 5 inches by 5 inches. I've got flat tape on the back of it, and I'm going to position it just to one side of the card, so it's more to the right as I look at it, and I can press that down because this is mainly for texture. We're only going to see the edge of it, but it just adds a little bit more interest to our card. Next, using the paisley cardstock, I've die cut the shadow layer from the decorative edge die that we're going to use, and then I've also cut the shadow layer, and I've also cut the decorative layer in the pink metallic cardstock. I'm going to add the shadow layer underneath the actual decorative layer, and you would do this flat on the table, but I'm doing it in mid-air so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just adding those two over each other. I've got flat tape on the back of the decorative layer, and then I have 3D foam towards the edge of both of the layers, and I'm going to just place the first layer onto the card just over the centre. There we go. Now I've already cut mine to size for the card, so I've trimmed it down to 6 inches. My second layer is exactly the same. So we've got the shadow layer of the decorative edge cut into the paisley cardstock, and then the decorative layer cut into the pink metallic cardstock. Again, I've got 3D foam on the back of the pink metallic layer and flat tape towards the end. On the back of the shadow layer, it's 3D foam at the edge and flat tape towards the outside edge. So I'm going to position the second layer over the top of the edge of the first one so they overlap. It kind of makes it like a petticoat bottom. They overlap. Next, for this section, I've cut a piece of the paisley cardstock, and this measures just about 1.25 inches, and I've wrapped some satin ribbon around the edge. Now, it has got fold marks in, so don't be writing to me about that. They will go in time as it's sat flat. It's just the way it's been stored. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a little ribbon iron or have the time to be able to iron your ribbon, that's great. But you know what? I'm not perfect. So I've left mine with the ridges in. And I've simply cut it and stuck it down on the back of the cardstock. I've got 3D foam on as well. And I'm going to position this to the side of my card over this edge. So this is going to sit just to one side. Again, I have cut it to the right size. So I'm going to press that down like that. Then I've used my ruffle cut and emboss dies again. I've cut the shadow layer. I've got 3D foam on the back of it. And I'm just going to position it through the centre of our card and press it down. And then I've got the ornate layer that I've die cut in the pink metallic cardstock, again on 3D foam. I'm going to pop that over the centre of the previous layer. Then we have our sentiment, which just says happy birthday, and this is from the favourite sentiment stickers. I've just removed the back and I'm simply going to add that through the centre of the oval, and I'm going to finish with a hand-tied bow in the same satin ribbon that I've used for the border edge, and I'm just going to add this. Now, I know everybody's going to be shouting, oh, do it this way, do it that way. I'm thinking for a change we'll go this way. I've just got it on 3D foam so I can position it. I could slightly change it if I want, but I think it sits nicely there. And that, if we put the ribbon over the edge of the tails of the sticker, I think that is so pretty. You could use different colourways, you could change it to suit the occasion that you need it to use, and I think it would work as a masculine card. To change the colour tones and the ribbon, maybe change your colour tones to a black and a silver, and use maybe a nice grey ribbon or a silver ribbon or even black. You could make that work for so many different occasions. It's floral without being floral. The inside matches perfectly. We've got lots of room for our message, and it's just such a pretty card. It's not too high that it won't go in a normal envelope because the height is staggered as it goes along, and it's just something a little bit different to use with our Anna Griffin supplies, but yet it's still so striking and easily adaptable. Please check my blog for lots of extra photos of both inside and outside, plus so many other projects. Don't forget to share with your crafty friends and give me the thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think on YouTube, because it's always great to hear from you. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.